Hello everybody, my name is Buffy, and welcome back to Destiny 1. I'm really excited to be here. We're back at it again. We're going to solo this Nightfall, so let's go ahead and look and see what it is. Alright, so this week it's going to be the Dust Palace. They really should put that on the banner here somewhere. But anyway, it's 380 light, hard as crap. And we have Arc, Solar, and Void Burn as modifiers along with Ironclad and Daybreak. So the burn modifiers increase all the damage for whatever related element they have, right? So all Arc, Solar, and Void are going to be increased, but it's for me and the enemies, which is going to be interesting. It's going to hurt a lot, but I'm also going to deal a bunch of damage. Ironclad means that my shields are greatly increased in strength, so that means I have more health, basically, but they don't regenerate very fast at all. So I'm going to show you a little workaround I have to that in a second, and Daybreak, which is basically Mayhem and PvE. So here we are at my stuff. I'm going to start off with the weapons, Hand Cannon, Fatebringer, Adept, so it's Arc, it's just good weapon. Devil's Dawn, good high impact sniper rifle. The Warpath, I really like this rocket launcher because of this roll. It's got Field Scout, Tripod, and Cluster Bomb. It makes for really good PvE damage. As for my gear, the build I'm going with this time is a 254, right there. And for my exotic, I'm going to be using the Sunbreakers, Discipline Strength, Hand Cannon Reload Speed, and the ability basically gives you 2 solar grenades and they last longer. Oh, and I'm using Memory Fielder. Speaking of solar grenades, though, I'm using Solar Grenade, Focus Burst, Fireborn. Fireborn's important because I'm going to use it to self-res if I need to, obviously, if I die accidentally. But if I die accidentally, I also get all of my health back when I come back to life, so that's really important right there. Next up is Flame Shield, that'll help with that as well. Viking Funeral, and Touch of the Flame. Touch of Flame, which helps with solar grenades. Just makes it more powerful. So that's basically everything there. Let's go ahead and hop into this Nightfall. So I figure I'll go ahead and take now to go ahead and explain what I'm doing. This is actually a post-recording narration type thing because I'm just trying it out. I want to see what you guys like with this little solo Nightfall series. Would you like me to post-record? Do you want to get the live commentary? Do you want the face cam? Do you not? Put a comment down below. I would really appreciate your feedback. I'm just kind of experimenting. So this is post-commentary, so I'm not going to get live reactions. I'm probably not going to be spooked by things as much or surprised when I die. But this is the second attempt, and you're going to get to see my not pro-level SRL skills here as I slam into this bar for like the 50th time ever. But yeah, this is going to be not so much, bright, vibrant reactions, but I'm going to be trying to explain what my thought process for a lot of this was. Getting down here, it's actually a lot quicker to run. If you're on your Sparrow to get in the building, which not everybody does, you should walk once you get to the point that I got off my Sparrow, because it's just hard to control. So this week's Nightfall, I don't think it's randomized. I think once the Nightfall rolls, it stays a certain set of enemy encounters, and this week it was pretty good as far as encounters go. Wasn't too heavy on enemies, and it was pretty easy to finish up. So right here in this first room, it was Vex. I'm sorry, no, it was Cabal. Duh. So we have Cabal down there, throw a grenade, and then I realized right here just how hard they hit, and nearly die. Throw a grenade to kind of burn off his shields and stuff, and then just recover as I'm, realizing that that's going to hurt a lot. So just go ahead and finish off these couple of enemies, couple nice headshots there, a quick scope there to the body, and, and go ahead and finish that guy off. So you'll notice that I'm moving pretty efficiently. I seem to know where the enemies are spawning. It's because this is the second run through here. I actually tried once before, and I wasn't doing badly. I died like once or twice or whatever, but I didn't wipe because I had self-res. The issue is that I got to another room and the spawn, or the door you had to go through to kill some enemies just wouldn't open. So that was not great. But you can see here, well, I'm not using the Fatebringer right now, but Fatebringer's pretty good against these. The explosive rounds do a lot of damage to shields and all that, and the only reason I'm using a sniper here is because I knew I could get a 3-tap on the Overlord if I could land the first shot and stagger him. So I just went with that. So moving into this next room, I know there's a Colossus up there, and I was looking for a Legionnaire that I saw standing there before, but he's over there that time. So we'll just go ahead and burn down the Colossus, because he's no threat from all the way over there. And a real quick explosive round shot from the hand cannon will get him all the way down. There's not a whole lot of challenge in this first wave, but it's not too great positioning wise, because if you get too close, even though I have Ironclad and I have most of my health, most of my shields, they will still do enough damage because of all their burn modifiers that they'll be able to kill me. So it's not a good idea in this one at least to run in, and I wouldn't be using a hand cannon if it weren't Fatebringer, because Fatebringer has explosive rounds, and of course explosive rounds are just busted and they don't have range fall off. So even with a hand cannon you can do half of your max damage from explosive rounds from any distance. So that's the only reason I have it there, and because I like hand cannons a lot. Otherwise I'm using a sniper. I'm actually using a rocket launcher, which for the Dust Palace strike is usually not thought of as ideal, but because I can't run up and just smack those scions with a raise lighter or something, I had to think of a ranged option that would work well for that. So here we're just gonna watch the world burn with a bunch of grenades, because again, Daybreak, it's basically mayhem in PvE, which is awesome. I do love that they brought this modifier into PvE, and you can see I'm just able to spam grenades because I have that 25-second cooldown that's down to like, I don't know, it might be like 8. It's somewhere between 8 and 10 seconds for a grenade, and it's just glorious. So with that, just finish off these other couple scions, and there's going to be an Overlord that spawns below me. But you can see here I got pretty low and then died. That was not my finest moment. I didn't get ready for those scions to come out because I thought they were going to come out the lower doors, because I didn't actually see them leave the doors on my last run. So I was a little bit out of position there, but no worries. Had the radiance. But that's another thing in this room, is that you should usually go for the high ground against adds. The adds can still hit you pretty well, but high ground, at least if you're up on those platforms, you can back away if they're below you, and they won't be able to hit you unless they have like a, whatever it is, slug thrower that the Cabal, Legionnaires, and Centurions have. They probably won't be able to hit you, so you can get out safely. Here, after the first run, this is a pretty easy setup for this room. I pretty much know exactly where the adds are going to be, so I'm pre-throwing grenades as I floof over to the next place I want to stand. And we just take care of all the adds pretty much easy clap, no difficulty. Also, the really nice thing about Fatebringer is within a reasonable distance, you can see right there I was one-tapping those enemies to the head. The nice thing about Fatebringer is it will one-shot those Legionaries, which is huge. Don't have to sit there and spam shots, and also because Fatebringer is just a low ammo reserve weapon. You can see there I'm at max ammo right now with 83 total, and that's just not great. I didn't know where these came from before, but I saw them coming out luckily and just threw 2 grenades, and because they do so much damage and because they also make them take more damage, they apply a debuff with that Viking Funeral. It's nutty how much damage those grenades can do. So you can see I just burnt down a Colossus with absolutely no effort. And then here we're just going to knock out a couple of these Vex. Try to show off with a quick little quick scope, and it kind of works, but it doesn't do enough damage to take him out. And then we should be having one more little wave of Scions here. So if this guy actually caused me a little bit of a problem. He got me pretty low on health, and that concerned me, but I was able to just kind of like floof grenades and rockets over to him. I, in hindsight, probably should not have gone for the rockets, even though I think I did replenish my rockets. I got an ammo drop before the next one. I would have rather gone with a grenade, because that's a cooldown ability rather than an ammo consumption ability, but who cares? Made it through in one piece. So thinking about my strategy for this room, I I actually looked over at my recording for a second. You'll see right here. I just kind of run forward at this guy. And yeah, then I finally looked over and saw that there was a phalanx right in front of me. But my strategy for this room when I was building the loadout and thinking about swords and the impracticality that there would be with using something like that, I decided on a rocket launcher because I wanted to abuse this top, high ground there, up where the activation switch for the actual encounter itself is. So you'll definitely see a lot of that as we move through this encounter. After we knock out all these ads, this little thing pops up. We got Bronze Contender. Nice. Deploy Ghost. And you're going to see me stay up here to my left for basically the whole fight. And I go down there a couple times. I think I actually died once. But I managed to whittle down the ads and eventually knock out the 3 bosses. My original plan here, this is just sort of a split-second decision for me, was I was going to jump up here so they couldn't use that pulse. And that guy runs as soon as I throw the grenade, and I was going to shoot a rocket. So that plan was a bust the moment it started. And I went and quick fired a rocket here, but knowing there were enemies behind me, I decided it would be better just to back off for now, see if I could take out all the enemies, and live through this. And this was the point I really realized and started using the hand cannon body into a melee, because that will kill them. And there's also a little Vex thing here that I got stuck on, so we're just gonna get reloaded and try to take on these enemies from this side. But the issue right here was that Scion moved a little bit, and he got totally out of the rocket's range, and I kind of wasted rockets doing that. That's not my finest move right there. So I've just now kind of decided that I don't want to take this right, equal ground approach. I try to take out that Centurion, and I just realize it's just not going to work over from this side. And so I just kind of go with the classic strategy, stick over here on this other side, the high ground, and pick out, whatever you can first, and move on from there. And I realized at about this point that there was just going to be no real value in taking out those Cabal targets because they just keep dropping in more enemies. That's one thing, is the quicker you can end this fight, the less chance there is that you will die horribly because of your own stupidity. So I waste a couple rockets here. Well, those 2 weren't wasted. They did damage, but they weren't with Viking Funeral going, so they did less damage than they could have. But this guy, I decided that I'm just going to try and nuke him down with a couple grenades and maybe a melee here. But I realized that, I don't have enough health, and then I'm going to die here if I stay there even just long enough to throw a grenade. And that's really the reason this Nightfall went pretty well, was just that, I backed out when I needed to. So good decision making actually won the day here, because I would have died right there for sure if I had stayed to throw a grenade. Because the grenade can do a little bit of damage on impact to you if you're close enough, and that's just not a good time. But thankfully the flame shield was there to get me through it. So we've knocked out the first little boss, Scion, and I'm trying to get a grenade to land, or find a good angle for grenades to land on that one. And then Scion starts spawning out of this door over here to the right on the low ground, and it's just not great. And then Cabal starts spawning out of this door on the low ground. So I was beginning to wonder whether or not taking this high ground approach and sticking to it would be better, or if I should go over to the other side. But then I realized that there are probably just as many ads on the right side, and that, well, number one, my health was really low right now and I couldn't do it at this moment, but that there would be a lot of ads over here on the right. I saw that there weren't, but I decided that it would be better to deal with them now while they're being funneled up this staircase and trying to make some awkward approach or jump up here or something like that, than to get on equal ground with them where they could just sort of swarm me, or worst case scenario, come and trap me and pincer me from both sides. There I made a little bit of a mistake. I dropped down when I didn't mean to onto that Legionnaire, and it could have gotten me killed pretty easily because those Cabal mean business. But I go ahead and set up, take out those Centurions, because like I said earlier, they have those slug throwers, and when you're on high ground you can back up, but those slug throwers can sort of just get lobbed up over cover, and you don't want that. That's extra bad. And they do a lot of damage, obviously. They do a lot of damage normally, but they do a ton and a half of damage when there's a burn modifier supporting them. So you really don't want that. Also, I realized at about this point, because I saw that thing go sailing by me, those Scion blast or psionic wave things that go along the ground, those do a lot of damage. I'm not used to that because in Destiny 2 they don't do much damage, they boop you in the air, and then there's a little damage dealing field afterward. But here the purpose of them is to do a bunch of damage in one hit. So it's definitely something you should avoid, and that's the other benefit of being up here and not on equal ground or near them, because they can't hit you with those as easily. It has to travel all the way up the staircase and things like that. But as you can see, I'm totally out of ammo except for some sniper ammo. I go ahead and miss a no-scope there and pick up 48 rounds, which is really nice. And then I try and floof back up before I get murdered here by all this stuff behind me. And thankfully we're back in cover. So back to plucking away at this dumb Scion on the left. This one behind that box over there was a real issue, and I find a good spot for it here in a second, but I have to knock out these ads first. So it wasn't necessarily an option before, because as soon as you knock out those ads, more are going to be shipped in or spawn in or come out of a door or whatever. So, and the other thing is that it's not just the Legionnaires and the Centurions. Obviously those make it hard, but it's also those Scions. These Scions can move pretty freely about the map, and right here's where I decide that it would be a good idea for me to not even not even use the sniper, just to throw a bunch of solar grenades out and to use Viking Funeral to burst this guy down pretty efficiently. But then I start taking damage and realizing that, go back to cover, and I'm just waiting for the explosive little metal to pop up. So I went ahead and killed that boss Scion. We're up to Silver Contender, finally. And I took a little bit of damage, but here we are. Back up to full health. And we're going to work on this last Scion. Now, this guy goes a lot easier than the other ones, but I have to get through this wave of ads, which of course includes more Scions, because who doesn't love those? And you can see that dropship coming in, and I didn't realize this is what they were going to drop in, but you can see two Colossi? I think it's Colossi. Two Colossi getting dropped off over there, which is not great. But from this range, they don't have as much time to launch their tracking missile things. So if you can get them far enough away, and if you can stagger them with a nice headshot off the high-impact sniper rifle, they're not much issue at all, as long as you're not getting flinched, because you do need headshots to flinch them effectively. So here, realizing I'd taken out most of the Scions, I get pretty gutsy and move up to take out the boss Scion right there. Try not to take a bunch of damage from that wave thing, but we'll see. I can see another enemy ticking damage right there, but I see it pop up in the feed that I did kill him, so I'm just going to try and get him down with rockets and what have you. So I'm out of rockets, and I'm going to head back up. And there's another small wave of Scions, but I do catch a couple of them with that grenade. So they're out of shield for the most part, and I can pick them off pretty easily. Then, realizing that there are no enemies on the platform out here, I go for the heavy ammo box, go and replenish that, and I don't know why it reloads it for me, but it did. So I go ahead and begin Viking Funeral again and see if we can get some nice burn enhanced damage with the rocket launcher, and we do a bunch of damage, and I'm worried about dying, so I go ahead and pop a flame shield, but he burns out while he's coming out of his melee animation, and that is the strike. So that went really well. We've got 13 minutes and 55 seconds left on the timer, which means we did pass the Sunrise bounty. Fantastic. That's gold standard for solo Nightfall runs. Tons of time left. Gold contender. Got the Sunrise bounty. Just good times. I only died, I think, twice. Yeah, I think I died twice in there. So that's pretty good for a Nightfall. You saw there I went for the skeleton key, and I got an arc flare mantle that was worse than the one I had, so it feels bad. But we'll go ahead and look over the score and the rewards. Wah, 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 wah. Sparrow toolkit feels bad, but It's okay, I don't mind. There's not much better, honestly. So you can see there a total time of 16 minutes and 4 seconds, 105 kills, time bonus of 20,900, and we got 32 medals during that. It was a pretty good run. I'm happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Once again, let me know if you like this style of video, if you want me to do post comms more often, if you want to do live comms, if you want me to stream it, let me know. And you could also leave a like and subscribe just because you're awesome. Anyway, this is Buffy Buff is Buffy, signing off.